Hello and welcome back to Disappointing Turtle. I hope that you have all had a really lovely week. My face is not on the screen today because I am going to show you the event that we were all trying out on the test server, which is called the Darklands, and I want you to be able to see as much of it as possible without being distracted by me. So I am going to keep the memes and stuff to a minimal as well, just so that you guys can get the full picture of what to expect when this finally hits our game. All really exciting stuff. So let's just have a little start by looking over some of the rules. Okay, so essentially what you have is loads of buildings, just like in Blood Wars. So you have to earn solo and alliance points by mining, occupying landmarks, and attacking vampire nobles. The alliance with the highest score wins. A tie is treated as a defeat for both sides. And within the landmarks, there's 9 landmarks altogether to defeat in the Darklands, and the landmarks are unlocked and become available for occupation at certain periods during the clash. So essentially, as it goes on in the first sort of 10 minutes, more of these buildings become occupiable, so you have to go and kind of fight for them. You must occupy a landmark for a certain period of time to control it. Once controlled, the landmark gets generating points and also provides benefits. See the landmark tab for details. I will let you guys check that one out for yourselves. In landmark battles, you gain 1 solo point for every 50,000 power of troops killed or injured. So that's really important information for you guys to know when you do finally get to give this event a go. If there are multiple members participating, solo points will be distributed according to troop power, so if you're running rallies and things like that. The alliance that occupies and controls all landmarks for a period of 15 minutes will be victorious. All sounds pretty simple and nice and easy. It is great fun, but I will get into that after this. So there's mines that pop up after 20 minutes and 40 minutes of being in the event. There's silver mines and iron mines. The silver mines are worth more points, so people will probably hit those first, and then the iron mines are worth a little bit less points. But they're there. They all spawn at the same time, and they're there for the same amount of time. Right, noble vampire. So a vampire noble will spawn at the 15-minute, 30-minute, and 45-minute marks. You can attack or rally against it. They're like the giant vampires that we sometimes get in events. They sort of appear in the middle, and you hit that for points. The vampire noble's HP is divided into multiple stages, and the alliance that inflicts the final attack to eliminate 1 stage of HP will receive the critical hit rewards. The vampire noble will remain hidden on the map for 10 seconds when it first appears, but it will be visible on the battlefield. So basically that means that you might not see it on the map straight away for the first 10 seconds as it says, but then if you're near it, it might pop up and it's visible to you, so obviously you'll know where it is before it appears on the map. Troops. Your kingdom will provide the troops that you use in the Darklands based on your actual troops, but your actual troops will not be affected. So basically if they die in there, they won't die in real fake life. Newly trained troops will be automatically added to your Darkland troops, but troops that are in your hospital, Alliance hospital, or Kingdom hospital or Sanctuary will not be added to your Darkland troops. The number of Darkland troops you have is shown in the upper corner. Casualties. So troops from the Darklands will only be wounded, not killed. Wounded troops can be healed quickly in the Darklands hospital. It is quite quick actually, I will give them that. And commands. So I'll let you guys kind of figure these out for yourselves more than anything, but essentially when you first go into the event and you open it up, you get to choose 2 commands that you can have, kind of like defences. So we'll have a look at a couple of them now, but after entering the Darklands you can give commands to enhance your performance. Commands can be changed up until the start of the battle. There are 2 types of commands, decisive and astute. You can choose one of each type. Decisive command, for example, Unity, which is a team troop attack increased when fighting at a landmark, and it can stack up to 5 times. So if 5 people in your alliance or 5 of you in that building all have that, then it will stack 5 times. If 6 of you have it, will still only stack 5 times. And then let's have a look at an Astute one, just to give it a little bit of balance. So, Swift Scout, increase speed while scouting a landmark. Allies can view your most recent scout report on a landmark. So obviously, that's good information to know there. But yeah, so you can choose that. There are a few of them to choose from, but they're the decisive and Astute commands. You guys can check those out. They're all quite good, actually. I was quite impressed with the benefits and stat attributes of this particular event. A support airship. So all marches in the Darklands include your airship by default. Your castle will also be guarded by a support airship with identical stats. Yep, that's quite nice. Sending off 5 marches and them all having an airship in definitely makes a lot of difference. And Curio. In the Darklands, you can equip one of your marches with a Curio, which grants a bonus in battle. Curio points applies to your castle also, so if your castle gets hit and you've got a Curio on, then those points go towards it as well. I didn't actually realise that at first, so I didn't have one in the first couple of battles that I did. A bloodbath will commence 10 minutes before the end of a clash, and during which time landmarks and mines will produce double points. And there is a safe zone as well, the same with Blood Wars, so you can sit behind the safe zone and still occupy buildings. You obviously just can't attack castles and things like that. And castle burning. Your castle will burn if you fail to protect it in the Darklands, and when your wall defences reach 0, you'll be automatically teleported back to the safe zone, so you're not kicked out of the event or anything like that, which is always really good and handy to know. So that's all the formalities out the way, as it were. All the little rulesies and everything that we've got to adhere to. But on a serious note, I guess, I actually really, really enjoyed this event. A lot more than Blood Wars. I know it seems very, very similar, and I suppose the format kind of is. But the way that you have to work to get the buildings and things like that, it does genuinely feel like you're playing an entirely new event. It's good. I think the alliances that will have an advantage are the ones that really, really work together. I've noticed in Blood Wars recently that there's a lot of people turning up with their farm alliances where there's only sort of like 1 or 2 castles. I don't think you're going to be able to get away with that in this one at all. It really is. It's full on, which is good. And you only have to actually occupy the buildings for 15 minutes, so I guess the quicker you get the buildings, the quicker the event will be over. That being said, it doesn't actually... None of mine ended before the hour was up, and I mean, on a couple of them we really did get our asses kicked. This one especially, that's playing at the moment, this was the first one that I did, and that's why I wanted to show you guys it, because this will be probably quite similar to your first experiences. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. There was a couple of people in Poor Alliance who were amazing, by the way. Thank you so much for having me, guys, and letting me film this. But a couple of them had played the event before, so they kind of walked me through it, which was absolutely fantastic. I think without their guidance I would have been entirely lost, and I was genuinely miffed at one point because I didn't seem to be making any points, and they instructed me that I needed to literally kill the shit out of everything, so that kind of helped me in the long run. So yeah, it's a really, really full-on event, but I think that's kind of what makes it good. One of the downsides that I would say potentially is it does cost a lot of gold. Now, I mean, I wasn't exactly being very reserved because, as you can see, they gave us quite a lot of gold to play around with, so we were all going a little bit bonkers on the old gold button. So I'm sure that there are ways where you could reduce the amount of gold that you're spending. I don't think it has to be quite as heavy as what we were doing. Yeah, I spent a lot of gold. It was good. They gave us quite a lot, so we might as well use it all up. But now I'm never going to have that much ever again. You can see that obviously there were glitches and stuff. I don't actually expect there to be much Well, I don't know. It's a gamble, isn't it? Come on, it's Guns of Glory. I'm sure we will have 1 or 2 glitches, but the whole point of us being on this test server and doing this is to get most of these ironed out. And I just want to say that I love these giant soldiers, so I don't really care if they don't go or if they end up hanging around for a little while. I find them quite amusing. And this was just completely absurd, if I'm being honest. So I was trying to hit this vampire and these absolutely giant ass cav guards and shit kept turning up. And it did disrupt it a little bit, to be honest. I don't know if it was the giant guards that was disrupting it or if it is just a general disruption within the game. In Blood Wars, definitely, if you're going for, I think it's the shrine, every single bloody time it just glitches out. You have to literally hit it 1,000 times before you can send a march to it. And those vampires I found very similar in this. I like the idea of the stat boosts and things that you get with the vampires and stuff, and the critical hits and things like that. It puts stats back into it, which I think Blood Wars lacks. I think the game generally lacks a lot of that at the moment, so it would be nice to see stats and things being able to be manipulated, I suppose. A little bit like UAC, I guess. Whereas if you maintain more buildings, you have higher stat boosts. I mean, at one point, my little C-35 had like 8k troop stats or something like that, which was just absolutely marvellous. So, and that's another thing as well, actually, that's really, really good about this event, is that it genuinely doesn't matter what size castle you are. I'm there with my little C-35, and I was being hit by a 44 earlier on in this video, and I was winning. It genuinely wasn't doing any damage. I did find it really amusing. I'm sure they found it massively frustrating. I'm guessing so, because they smacked me about 7 times, so they probably didn't enjoy that very much. But again, it was a new experience for all of us. I had no idea that I was going to get those sort of stat boosts until they came around. So it was a really, really nice surprise for me. One thing that I didn't keep track of, and I probably should have, I might try and count it up in one of my videos at some point, but I'm not sure how many free teleports you get. So I will try and maybe put something down in the comment section over the next couple of days, which just clarifies how many teleports you get for free, because I know, obviously I was saying about the gold consumption being quite large, so I think it's probably quite important to know how many free teleports you're going to get, because you want to know how often you can be moving around, especially if you're a free player and don't accumulate very much gold. I will say this though, at the moment I save all of my gold for UAC, and having enjoyed this event so much when I did finally get on, that's another story. I think I will probably set aside half of my gold just for this event when we do finally get it and it launches properly and everything. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I really did. The whole sort of alliance cooperation thing. The whole sort of vibe of it. I mean, I don't think it was just because we were on the test server. Obviously, that was all quite exciting stuff, and obviously it's a new event, so it's quite exciting. But you can see that we're constantly having to work together all the time with mega rallies and stuff like that, especially when the buildings first open up and you have to kind of go and fight for them. Obviously you need to be stronger than your opponent, so timing rallies and doing double rallies and all of that sort of stuff are definitely going to be massively involved in this event, and I think that's really, really cool. It will give my kingdom especially a little bit of training for KVK, especially with the rallies and stuff. I mean, ever since the guard change, I think we've been a little bit messed up on exactly how to execute some of our rallies. Probably shouldn't tell you guys that, because you're probably going to come over and take advantage. So we better get clued up on that pretty bloody quickly. One of my sort of disadvantages, I guess, of the game would be that if you weren't in a very big alliance, you might not do quite as well. So I think it could be one of those events that you might have to consider amalgamating smaller alliances. That being said, we did have a couple where we played, there was just 2 guys against 7 of us, and that went okay. But I mean, they had big castles, we did not, so kind of that balanced it out a little bit. Obviously, we absolutely thrashed them, but to the guys' poor defences, there was only 2 of them, and they were covering and doing as much as they could. They really, really put up a fight. It was nice to see, actually, and we actually ended up having quite a nice match against them. No hard feelings by them for us kicking their backsides entirely. But having said that, with the whole disadvantage thing, I don't think it matters whether you're a particularly strong kingdom or a particularly weak kingdom. I know Guns of Glory obviously notoriously has issues with really terrible matchups and really terrible pairings. But I think this could potentially be the event that kind of doesn't really matter so much with the pairings and the matchups. Because of these stat buffs and increases and stuff that you get on top of things, it really does make a big difference. And obviously you've got the safe zone as well, like in Blood War, so you don't have to go onto the battlefield. You don't have to fight with your castle if you don't want to. You can still fill the buildings and hit the vampire and all of those sorts of things. The only things that you obviously can't do is the PvP. I think you can still join rallies. I'm sure I've joined a couple of rallies from the safe zone. So you can still get lots of points that way as well. And obviously there's the mines that you can go to. As I said at the beginning when I was reading through the rules, they're released at certain times within the event. They're really hard to see. I couldn't find them at first at all. I don't know if they have a bit like a 10-second bit like the vampire where they're not visible on the map, but I genuinely couldn't find any of these tiles. And then when I did look on the map for like the second time, there was loads of them everywhere, but I don't think that there's enough. Potentially the amount of tiles that were available, you could probably fill with 20 marches. So potentially that's 4 people. I guess if you had 1 mine each, it might be fair, but when's that ever going to happen? Even though we get quite a lot of marches nowadays, you've got 5 marches, lots of buildings to fill, lots of mines to fill, rallies to join, plus you might be in your own combat. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on, but I think that's genuinely what makes it quite fun, is that it is quite a fast paced sort of event. I mean, Blood Wars is quite fast paced, but most of it is hitting threats, and I mean, let's face it guys, we do enough of that in the game without having to start doing that within our events as well. It starts to get really bloody tedious after a while. Constantly hitting threats over and over again, whether that's for guard cards or whatever, you know, it is literally just tedious. I think maybe a good, not like hack, but a good way would be like to have lots of troops, because obviously your power in this one is based on your troop count. So if you're somebody that doesn't have particularly a lot of troops, you might want to not for meat shield purposes, but just get some T1s on the go, just so that your power's a little bit higher. I don't know how much your power really affects it in terms of hits and things like that, but I wouldn't want to go in an event like this not having very many troops when it's based on like 50,000, multiples of 50,000. So you're going to want to have quite big march caps as well, I expect. So it's a really, really good thing that the troops don't die forever, because when you're boosting your march caps up and you lose 800,000 troops, that's not fun at all. KVK is the absolute worst for that. I think it's the best idea to have just the biggest march ever, and it just turns into an absolute bloody nightmare. Instant regret. One thing that I couldn't quite figure out is when this does finally go live, I wasn't sure if it would be Inter-Kingdom Alliance versus Alliance, or if it would be the same as sort of like Blood Wars and stuff, so where it's alliances outside from other kingdoms. Obviously we had the Tides event and that just kind of vanished, and that was Inter-Kingdom Alliance versus Alliance, and it obviously didn't go down very well. So I'm just wondering if they're going to bring this one in to replace that, or if this is going to be an entirely different event altogether, or if it maybe will sort of like run on the opposite week to Blood Wars or something like that. Yeah, that would be really interesting to find out. I don't know why Nap Kingdoms... Well, I do kind of know why. Nap Kingdoms generally are not very successful with inter-kingdom events because really they just don't want to hurt each other, which is all great for intents and purposes when you need to fight in KVK, but it also does suck the fun out a little bit when you're playing events safe just because you don't want to upset somebody. So the test server itself, I had absolute nightmare at the beginning. I couldn't get on. I had a black box screen just about literally everywhere. It was completely unplayable. So I was kind of late joining the party, but I don't actually feel as though I missed out now that I actually got in and managed to play it. I did at the time. I was absolutely furious. I knew what the answer to the solution was. I just needed somebody to give me permission to do what I needed to do in order to be able to actually take part. On the server itself, sort of playing the event, there weren't too many bugs. Obviously, like, you saw the giant soldiers, they were a bit of a pain in the ass. And I will say that, obviously, trying to hit the vampire itself, it messes up a lot. I don't know if there's just too many, like, overlays or something, too much information all being inputted into that one place, but it glitches out and it's really, really hard to actually send an attack to it. But other than that, I don't think it was too bad, if I'm being honest. I mean, most of the problems that were reported on Discord were mostly problems with the test server itself rather than the actual event. There were issues with the test server itself, but you know, you're trying to upload 2,000 random castles all onto one server at the same time. There was always going to be issues with that. I don't think that that's a problem. To be honest, I think if they did go live with it as it is now, they would have to fix the thing with the vampire. I think that would cause a lot of problems, especially with the critical hit and it being relied upon who's hit it the most as well. Because if you're not being actually able to even target it and not even be able to attack it, you're obviously wasting time and losing out on points. So I could see that being a little bit of an issue. But I think all the rest of it would be good on the go now. As I said earlier, they could probably do with a few more mines maybe, or maybe put in like an extra round of mines, just so that maybe smaller players have got things that they can participate in a little bit more. I can't see very many sort of like C20s getting involved in the mega rallies, which are a really huge part of this event. Rallies and mega rallies in general are quite a big part of this event in gaining buildings and protecting the buildings. It actually does damage to your troop rally to have low tier troops in there, because you could be filling the space with top tier troops, which are obviously going to give you a much bigger hit. I suppose that's one that's probably up for debate. I know lots of people that like to send T10s in rallies during KVK and stuff, but unfortunately, guys, it just does not work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Have to replace those troops with bigger ones, absolutely. I think, really, that's all I've got to say at the moment. I will get back to you guys on the teleports, because that is information that I would quite like to know. I think it's quite important information. I wish that I'd taken note of it at the time, but I didn't, and I don't know why. It wasn't until I was filming that I thought, ah, shit. In fact, I do know why. It's because they gave me so much gold that I actually didn't need to count. I didn't need to care. Ordinarily, I'm a free player, as you guys know, so having that much gold was like bloody delightful, literally. I did a ton of honing, I trained a shit ton of troops, We couldn't do any castle upgrades because obviously you couldn't get the badges to be able to do it on the server, but if I could have, I absolutely would have. I don't think I will ever have 1,000,000 gold again, so I will mourn my 1.5 million gold. But it was great fun, and yeah, thank you again to Port. Had an absolutely brilliant time. The fact that they let me in the Alliance and gave me permission to film everybody as well was absolutely brilliant and really, really generous of them. It was nice to play with some different people and get some different sort of perspectives as well, rather than obviously, well, not obviously, but I've been in my Alliance for 2 years, so we all generally kind of think the same now. We're like a little hive network, I guess, so it's nice to have other people's sort of views and opinions on how to do things, and it's going to enable me to take that back to my Alliance with me as well, which will help us to grow stronger. So thank you very, very much, guys. And I guess thanks to GOG for running these test servers. It's a little bit shitty that things didn't go quite to plan in the beginning. I think mostly it's a communication issue that has always been a bit of a problem with Guns of Glory, but ultimately my problem was resolved in the end and I was a very, very happy bunny. So thank you, Mod Astronaut, because I never ever would have been able to have any bloody content had it have not been for you absolutely saving my backside. I really, really appreciate that. So you guys take care now. I have a few more videos for you about the test server, but they're not going to be your general standard videos, so look out for those. There will be one out tomorrow, and hopefully I will also have one out on Monday. I'm really looking forward to making them and editing them, and I really hope that you guys are going to enjoy watching them. I am nearly at the 700 subscriber mark, so please, please, please subscribe to my channel. I looked the other day and 85% of you guys that watch my videos, thank you to all of you, are not subscribed, and that's heartbreaking. If I hit 1,000 subs, then I can start making some money out of teaching you guys all this stuff and sharing my Guns of Glory experiences with you guys. Whether you appreciate it or not, I don't know, but I love making these videos, and I love trying to help people sort of stay in the game. I know that it can be quite a frustrating game at times, so it's really important to me that I kind of give people the ability to be able to play a cheaper game with it still keeping it fun without it becoming sort of too serious. I like to keep the fun in my videos as well, just to keep you guys on your toes. So thank you guys. Please, please, please subscribe. I hope that you'll have a really, really lovely day. Take care, guys. Thank you.